Welcome to Acoustic Shelf with your boy Cappel and D. We got a good show for
What
y'all.
up?
What's going on, man? What's up for today?
Ain't nothing, bro. Just living. You know what I'm saying? What's good with you?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. I'm good. I'm good over here too.
You got
Uh,
your mask on?
I'm not wearing a mask in the house. I was walking around wearing a mask because my wife, I think she got COVID. No, I'm just playing. But nah. I mean, actually, I'm gonna have to go out today, and I'm gonna have my mask on. Everybody out there listening, please mask up. It's very important. I feel like we in the second wave, and we're not supposed to be in the second wave right now. The second wave is supposed to come later. But y'all irresponsible assholes out there making things worse for everybody. So if you listening and you're not wearing your mask, I'm talking to you. You're an irresponsible asshole. Wear your mask, please. You got
Hey, the
anything
wife.
to add?
Hey, the wife said that this girl that she know, like, I guess on Facebook or whatever, she say that she work from home. You know what I'm saying? She only go out to the grocery store. I mean, she only leave the house to go to the grocery store, and she ended up getting it or whatever. She got tested for the flu and for COVID, and they said that she didn't have it or whatever. She started feeling worse and worse. She went. They actually called her and say she didn't test positive for COVID-19, but she tested positive for one of the other COVIDs. I don't
What,
even understand.
H1N1? SARS? This girl
Hey,
got the
bro.
bird flu in this bitch. Let me stop. I ain't gonna make fun of it, but that's crazy. Look, what I was about to say when you said that she don't do nothing but work from home and go to the grocery store. Number one, that may not be true because people tend to not tell the
True,
truth when it
true.
comes to certain things, and don't want to feel they don't want people to ostracize them for not being super safe. But let's say it is true. It's still possible because think about it. You go to the grocery store. When I go to the grocery store, I wear a mask and gloves. A lot of people don't wear gloves, but I'm gonna tell you why I wear gloves. Is because say you go and pick up an item right before you came on that aisle. Somebody was just sneezing their hand, and then they touched the item, and they got COVID, and they don't know it yet, and then you touch the item. But you ain't got, but now you're going through the whole grocery store. You're not carrying sanitizer on you at the time. You're not. Nobody's walking around. Most people not walking around carrying hand sanitizer. They will sanitize their hands maybe as they walk out the store because a lot of stores have it available. But they're not constantly sanitizing their hands. They picking up their phone. They do looking at their phone probably. They touching several other objects, and then they leave and go home. So while you feel like you're being safe with a mask on, to be completely honest, when you talk about germs and how they spread, you're not being 100% safe. So I wear gloves when I go out. I wear gloves, and this is the reason why people can say, "Well, you can do the same thing with gloves." When I get in the grocery store, I put my phone in my pocket. I don't touch my phone. I pick up everything I need to pick up, go shop, um, pay for my stuff. When I pay for my stuff, I take my gloves off, excuse me, and I throw them away. Then I use my phone because I do Samsung Pay, and then I have hand sanitizer in my car. I go to my car, I put my hand sanitizer on, and then I put my bags in the car. I put my hand sanitizer on again. I drive home, bring the bags in the house, put my hand sanitizer on again, and me and my wife, we wipe down all of our groceries with disinfectant wipes before we put them in the refrigerator. That may sound extreme,
But
but that's what the hell we do.
but do y'all play the song "Wipe Me Down" while y'all doing it though? Cause it don't matter if you're not doing that, bro.
That's why I've been feeling sick. That's probably why I got COVID because I did not play Wipe Me Down. You know what I'm saying? That produced the antibodies to fight it off. Nah, but I mean that may sound extreme, bro. But when you're thinking about cross contamination, I mean, it's easy to get it. It's easy to get it. And when you go out and you touching stuff, when you go grocery shopping, you basically hoping that the people that's grocery shopping are being safe as they possibly can. But everybody's
Straight up.
not. Everybody's not. And I mean, like I said, that may be a far fetched way to shop, but it's not for me because I don't want to catch COVID.
Man, I feel you. Like I've been kind of like, I guess, in the medium or middle class with it because I'm not trying to go overboard, but then at the same time, I'm not trying to be an idiot and just
Yeah.
doing like living life like there's nothing going on or whatever. And reason being because our bodies are like a microcosm or a small universe that we harbor germs and bacteria and stuff like that, and our immune system needs that. You know what I'm
True.
saying? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like I don't want to kill the good bacteria and good germs and stuff like that or whatever in the process of trying to, kill this, COVID as well and stuff like that or whatever. Ultimately, I believe that we all gonna end up getting it, in some form or fashion. Honestly, I believe I had it already or
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because I had, we was on our way to Vegas or whatever. Like right before we went, I had the flu. Well, at least I thought it was the flu because that's what they told me that it was. But that was before COVID was popping. That's before it
Yeah.
was popular. You know what I'm saying? We just knew about it in China, and of course, everybody was thinking that it wasn't even in the United States yet. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't because that's what the politicians were saying or
Yeah.
whatever, the executive branch anyway. So I don't know, bro. I've had the flu before and I've never felt that way. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like I was gonna pass out. I was thugging it out though. Like I
Yeah.
for like 2-3 days before I actually went to the hospital, to see what was going on. They said it was the flu. But like I say, that was before they had any type of testing or even thinking that it was in the United States like that, or at least
Yeah.
not in Texas anyway.
Yeah. And it clearly was here already. So you might be right, man. I mean,
Hey, I hope so.
it's been times where I feel like I might have had it. Probably mind over matter. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like I was running and I was having a hard time breathing. I was like, man, I wonder if that's because COVID. Because when I ran last week, I felt fine. Yeah, that probably ain't got nothing to do with COVID. But of course, I mean, who knows? I may have had it and been with those asymptomatic people. And the reason why I say that is because my wife been going to work every day, and she work at a place where there's consistent communication with people. They do social distancing, but and I'm not gonna say where she work because I don't want y'all people going out looking up what my wife doing. Um,
Calling and look, hey, is Capel wife there?
yeah, but she work at a high risk job. I'm put it like that, and she could be bringing it home pretty much every day. But it is what it is. Her job is considered essential, and my job I'm able to do at home. And so it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. I'm with you. Like I'm not afraid to get COVID, but I'm going to do what I can to protect myself from it as far as what I can do. Whatever I can't do to protect myself from it, if I get it, then I get it. It is what it is.
Bro, they told the girl to take aspirin to like kind of thin her blood and stuff like that because supposedly it thickens your blood or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know,
Oh
man.
my goodness.
And I
Yeah.
I be having like especially like my grandma, she asked me, have I gotten tested and stuff like that. And I'm like, for what? You know what I'm saying? Like the TV and the media has like I don't has affected people to the point to where they're not even using rationale or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like
Zombie apocalypse. Like
I'm like, grandma, there's no purpose in getting tested if I don't have, for one, if I don't have symptoms, because even if I do have symptoms, unless I need to be put on a respirator or something like that, they're not even accepting people like in the hospitals for just regular symptoms. They just talking to you over the phone, telling you to quarantine, and basically, that's it.
I mean, it ain't no purpose in my opinion to get tested unless you feel bad or you plan on going around people that you're not normally around.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than that,
I
there's no
agree with
purpose
that.
in getting tested. Who if you get tested just to find out, like
Yeah,
what you gonna do
exactly.
next?
Now I know.
You
Now
know what
what?
I'm
You know what I'm
saying?
saying?
But anyways, moving forward, if you saw or listened to our first two shows, you noticed that we had a third co-host. It was D Will, Capel, and Trey, and now it's just D Will and Capel. Our boy Trey,
He
he
flaked out on us.
that boy got dandruff. Nah, but
Shout out to Flake. What up, Flake?
yeah, shout out to Flake, Brandon Robichaux, aka Flake.
What
That's
up,
my
boy?
my
That's
boy
my
for life, boy for
straight up.
life. You know what
It's
I'm
my
saying?
brother. You know
Brothers.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Even though we don't talk no more, that's still we still brothers.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Flake flaked out on us too. Where you at, boy?
I think that boy in Dallas, man. I
Yeah,
think
he
he
in
in Dallas.
Dallas.
It's
Yeah,
crazy when I was in Dallas. If I was still in Dallas, then we probably would be talking more, and hanging out. But he moved to Dallas after I moved here to Houston.
we
But
need to right.
anyways,
Hold up, we need to
yeah.
roll up on them boys. Flake up there, Demetrius Kuti up there, Cheese and Paul LaCour and the homeboy Trail, man. All them boys up there, man.
I knew Cheese was up there. Cheese was there when I was there. We actually like talked and kicked it a few times
Yeah,
before I left. But well, it was more like talking. I don't think we actually hung out.
yeah.
But yeah, I still go to Dallas periodically because I live there, and George there, Chico there, Julian, Howard. I mean, just a lot of my college
Straight up.
brothers or whatever.
Shout out to
So
Chico, man.
yeah, but but yeah, so Trey, he manned up and he said, I mean, my heart not in it, right now, and he didn't want to hold us back because me and D Will we hit the ground running. This was something that was important to us, and he was like, I mean, my heart ain't in it. I see y'all doing y'all thing. Damon, you can kind of tell it because you the one that talked to him. So like, what was his perspective?
Basically, what you just said. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because this was Trey idea. He came to me was like, "Hey, bro, man, what you think about us doing a podcast?" And I'm like, "Okay." You know what I'm saying? I kind of procrastinated for a while. Hollered at you at Capel was like, "Hey, man, what you think about doing a podcast with me and Trey?" You know what I'm saying? We thought it was a solid idea, but in any event, um, Trey Hart has always been like like deep into the music and production and stuff like that or whatever. So really, that's all it is. You know what I'm saying? He'll probably jump back on the podcast periodically or whatever, but he really want to do music. We got an album called Dope Side of the Moon that we working on. It's really his album, but it's kind of mine. It's kind of like a collaboration and stuff like that or whatever. But it's coming out pretty straight. And he doing a lot of mixing and mastering and all of that type of stuff or whatever. So he really trying to focus on that. At the same time, he working, got kids and all of that. So it's truly understandable. And honestly, I commend him because like I told you, I thought Trey was gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? And keep,
Mm,
try to play us to the side and stuff like that. Because, like Trey, man, that's my dog, that's my brother. You know what I'm saying? But my first encounter with Trey is my memory of this boy. Like Trey actually stayed right down the street from us because his grandma and them, they stayed maybe like 3-4 houses down across the street. And we had Mary Golf Elementary. Shout out to Mary Golf. Shout out to Old Man. Shout out to Derek Cootie. Shout out to Anthony Drummer. Shout out to Ra Emil Bold. You know what I'm saying? Who else? Chandrika, Heidi Perry. Man, shout out to the whole, you know what I'm saying, the whole squad. But Jarrell Jonas, you know what I'm saying, my bros. But anyway, we had on Mary Golf. Hey, y'all used to play tetherball at
yeah, man. We played tetherball.
so
You know what I'm saying? They need to bring that back. You know what I'm saying? The
hey,
schools need to have tetherball in the school. Them kids would play it. I'm telling you, they would
bro,
play
we
it if you
got.
put them on
I
the
went and
ground.
bought a tetherball. I got a tetherball because they actually got a pole at the school not too far. So me and the Wiz and the kids, I'm breaking them off. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I was a tetherball champion. Anybody that say I wasn't Ra Mill, what's happening? But we can go play right now, baby. I was a champion in tetherball. I'm not saying I was the champion, but I was a champion. Hold up, Jason. What was it was a white dude, Jason. I forgot Jason last name, but that boy was cold too. But anyway, shout out to Chris and Christina Gunn. Man, anyway, just so many people. Lil Earl, Chris, Gaucher. Anyway, Loretta
Yeah.
Gaucher.
Anyway, we
Anyway,
got a limited amount of
man,
time. You
I
naming the
know,
whole
bro. I'm
block.
just straight up, man. I just went back real quick. But anyway, so Monica McKenna, RP to the home girl, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. R.P.
RP to
Monica.
Monica, man. I couldn't believe that. But anyway, this boy here, Trey, we playing tetherball or whatever, and in tetherball you got rules that you got to follow. You don't cross the line or whatever. You stay in your hemisphere, and you don't touch the rope. The rope wrapped around this boy hand. I'm talking about like he's standing there with the with the ball dangling on his hand. You know what I'm saying? And this boy talking about he didn't rope. Now, now, granted, we kids. You know what I'm saying? We like it's like third, fourth, and fifth grade. So you either 8, 9, or 10 or whatever. And I believe this was either third or I want to say this was third grade. This boy got the rope around his hand, and this boy talking about he didn't rope or whatever, bro. I remember that. But I'm gonna remember that I'm gonna tell this story on my deathbed, bro. That boy, you know what I'm saying? So I always thought Trey was a liar. And we wasn't bros back then. You know, he was just a cat from the hood, you know what I'm saying, that I knew or whatever. We got older and stuff like that. Like just in the recesses of my mind, because I used that Rememory machine.
Yeah,
I used the
exactly.
Rememory machine, and bro, I always thought Trey was a liar because of that situation or whatever, man. So
That's a funny story. I actually wish he was here for it so I could hear his perspective on it.
when you hear this,
That was,
Trey, you already know what time it is.
but I mean, that's a and I Trey, we've been boys since I know Trey through you. So I met Trey when I was in college, I think it was maybe in high school towards my
Yeah,
senior year,
probably high school.
around that
Yeah.
time, and
Nah. You know what? Yeah, you was around your senior year to college. Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, I know the stories of y'all um, working together and doing y'all music and me and you are very much alike when it comes to like getting things done. Like if something we want to do, we push, we go, we I mean we own it. And Trey seemed a little bit more lackadaisical with things and why it's not a right or wrong. It's just when you're working with people, you like people that have the same energy you got, and that kind of brings this topic of maturation that we want to have, because in the past I feel like Trey would have procrastinated, and we would have been working together and trying to get things done, and it would have been a frustrating situation and possibly derailed it as a whole because like I said, our mentalities are like, let's get it done. When we started this podcast, we hit the ground running. Like once we officially
straight up.
started it, we hit the ground running. And it was clear that, Trey was a little, different with getting things done or whatever. And what it came down to is he wasn't feeling it. And like I say, years ago, he probably wouldn't have just said this. And so that shows a maturity process that he has, because while he is his person, he's his own person. He does things his way. He recognized that we do things a different way, and he didn't want to slow us down by continuing to procrastinate and not get things done on the same energy scale that we was doing it. So we want to talk about maturation and how we go from where we were to where we are now. Um, like for myself, I want to talk about my maturation. Just as a person. Um, when I was always told that I have an old soul, you know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of people have told me when I was younger, and my maturation for people my age has always been a little higher, and I recognize that. Like I've never been one to engage in a lot of the things that my counterparts wanted to engage in. I've always been focused on, even when it comes to like relationships and stuff like that. People would always look at me as that person that they want to talk to, because I'm giving them solid not even
Advice.
advice. Not even I
Yeah.
wouldn't even say as advice. I would say is more like solid conversation about a situation. Because even when I was young, I was always of the mindset I don't give advice, because you recognize when you give advice and people take it and things don't go the way you want it to go, then they look at you as like, if I wouldn't have listened to you, then this wouldn't have happened. Rather,
Yeah.
I would speak in a perspective of how I would handle things, or speak in a perspective of, you know, like follow your heart, do what's best for you, look at all the options. And I'm 40 years old now, and I was given that same advice at the age of 20. But my maturation process has still, grown from that level. Like, I look at life as like a journey. And as I become an educator, like that's my mentality is like life is a journey. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to look at life like, man, every time I try to, get here, something happens and it takes me
Yeah,
backwards and I feel like I got to reset.
straight
And
up.
over time, I was like, nah, that's just life, man. Like every obstacle that you go through in life, it strengthens you to get to where you're going. Like the journey don't never stop. Like if you liken it to when you planning on going on a trip, right? You ever went on a trip and you actually on your way and you realize you forgot something. I know that has
Straight
happened.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
automatic.
Did you
Every
did you
single time.
exactly? Did you stop and be like, "Oh man, got to stop the journey. Let's go back home. Let's stop the flight. Or we 500 miles away. Let's stop. Go back. Let's go get what I left." Nah, you adjust and you continue on your journey. You make um you improvise, you make provisions, and you keep going. You don't let it stop you. And to me, that basically is the metaphor that I use for my real life. Like when I know what I'm trying to get, and when something don't go right, I don't let that stop me from going on the journey. I look at, okay, this didn't work out. What I got to do to keep going, So I mean that maturation process, and there's other things, and I'm gonna get into it too. But I want to get with you, Damien, so you can like kind of tell us your ideas on maturation. But I mean my maturation process, I ain't gonna lie, man. I've grown so much as a person, from the ages of 20 to now 40 years old. That 20-year process. It's been a journey. It's been a good one, but yeah.
Absolutely, bro. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That's one of my mantras or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that I pray about and thank God for is maturation. I'm not even making that up or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I really do. That's one of my mantras or whatever. I thank God for maturation because, especially like say like I'm not gonna go all the way around because you kind of hit it from a certain angle. So I just tell like specifically when I see say like these kids right now today that or not even just kids but adults that's getting shot, murdered by the police and all that type of stuff or whatever. I could have been one of them people because I was a young hothead. You know what I'm saying? I could have been a part of the black on black crime conspiracy and all of that type of stuff as well because I was a young hothead and somebody told me to pull up, I was pulling up. You know what I'm saying? And whatever happened happens or whatever. You know what I mean? We done been in situations getting pulled over by the police, where I'm cussing the police out and all that type of stuff. Like remember that time the laws pulled us over in that unmarked car, like we was totally in the right. They had blew the yield sign and
Yeah.
stuff like that or whatever.
Yeah, I
Y'all
remember
telling
that.
man, D, shut up, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, like
I'm
it was
clowning.
yesterday.
Actually, it was nah, but I'm clowning the cop, talking bad to him, bro. Could have easily went south, easily, man. Granted, it wasn't supposed to. What really was supposed to happen happened or whatever,
Hmm.
but you can't control somebody else's ego. You know what I'm saying? And you can't control what somebody else's actions are in response to your actions, regardless of how innocuous your actions may be. I don't get to, poke you in the chest and then uh fill out a survey for what I think should happen next, what you should do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, I don't get to say, well, dang, bro, I just poked you in the chest. You don't get to chop my leg off. You know what I'm saying? I don't get to do that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And that was a part of my maturation process, having to understand that in dealing with people, on a social level or whatever, and dealing with people mentally, is that I don't get to I can't control nobody else. I'm the only person that I can control, and that's a part of my maturation process is understanding that I have to control myself. um a lot of times people have got me riled up, certain family members or whatever, telling me, hey, we got to do this, do that. I'm a young dude, I don't know no better, you know what I'm saying? So I'm riding in the car too or whatever, you know what I'm saying, versus using my own brain, utilizing my thoughts, accessing, my energy, which has never been negative energy. I've always had positive energy. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
You know, that's one thing that I had to learn. Right now, I'm stoic. They tried to play the you seen these videos where they have broken where the kids act like the TV broke.
No, I hadn't seen those. No.
So it's a YouTube I guess channel or station, whatever, that you can put it on the TV and it makes the TV look broken or
What?
whatnot. Yeah. So if you go look up the TV broken dad videos or whatever, you will see that, man, these dads going crazy. Dad, we accidentally broke the TV. They going out smashing the TV. Like, man, I can't believe y'all. They smashing it. Like, Daddy, the TV's not really broken. It's just a video. They whooping the kids. they beating the kids up and all kind of stuff or whatever. So they tried to do that to me. I didn't know what was going on. I'm in the upstairs, you know, I'm doing a little plumbing work in the bathroom or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And the Wiz come up there like, no, the kids come up there first, and my nephew was over here, and they was like, "Ooh, Dad, you know, Deuce and them broke the TV. They was playing with a basketball, and why y'all playing with a basketball in the house and all that type of stuff? They trying to get me amped up or whatever, bro. I just kept doing what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
okay, it's a TV. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so you know, the Wiz come up there and she started clowning, you know, acting like she was about to whoop the boys and asking them why they bringing the ball in the house and all of that type of stuff, why they playing with the ball anyway. And, you know, they trying to really, you know, put 100 on 10 trying to hype me up. And when I finished, I walked out, I saw the TV, I kept moving or whatever. And they
Yeah.
like, everybody looking at me like waiting on the reaction or something like that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, mentally, I'm not, okay. Okay, so
Yeah.
I gotta what? We gotta buy another TV. I'm not. That you know, that's my mind. Why you playing with a ball in the house? I'm not buying another TV. That's on you. That's the TV that y'all use to play games and all of that type of stuff. Now you can't play your games no more. You know, that's punishment enough or whatever. In my mind, you know what I'm saying? So I've already analyzed all of this type of stuff. I'm already looking ahead, looking at life, looking at the next move. Whatever I do, I'm looking at it like it's a chess move. What's happening after I do this? What's happening after this response? What's happening after I make this move? What's the next 2-3 moves down the line that's gonna happen? Is it going to bring me positive energy back, or is that energy gonna be negative? What's the purpose if it's gonna be negative? What's the purpose if it's gonna be nothing? You know what I'm saying? So that was all a part of my maturation process and things that I had to grow through. You know what I'm saying? You know, so
Yeah. Yeah, you saying that reminds me of this. Well, not reminds me, but it makes me think of the idea of emotional intelligence. And
mm,
you know
that's a good
what?
terminology.
Yeah, and what that is basically, you know, like when you're in your emotions, when you're in emotional state, how do you control it and how do you make decisions, you know, while you're in that emotional state? And that's a problem that a lot of people don't know how to, like, they don't know how to work through that. You know, people's emotions, most people's emotions drive them. You know what I'm saying?
Straight
They
up.
allow their emotions to drive them. And if you have very high emotional intelligence, the higher your emotional intelligence, the more mature you are. It's because you're thinking through those situations when you're in that emotional state. And I'm gonna use this example. Before I say it, I want to say by no means am I not saying these people are feeling the way that they actually feel, but I'm just giving an example. So let's think about all these, you know, all the people who've been fired, who've been making insensitive and racist comments about the Black Lives Matter movement, right? What happens soon as these people are ousted? They apologize. They say I'm sorry. You know, and I'm not talking about like statements like what Drew Brees made. I'm talking about like these regular everyday people you see on the
Yeah.
videos, you know, arguing, going back and forth with protesters and stuff, saying, you know, very insensitive things about the Black Lives Matter movement. Then they come back later and they put something on their Facebook page or they apologize. That's not in my character. Let's say for example, let's say for instance they are telling the truth. Let's say that it is not in their character. If they're in an emotional state and they are not thinking they're not thinking right. When you get in an emotional state, your brain waves, they change. The way that you process information changes. You
Straight
have
up.
to train your brain, and that's part of maturation, to when you get in an emotional state, what is it that you're going to do to get yourself out of that state to think clearly? And like I said, let's say for example that these people are not feeling that way and they are just saying things to push buttons because they understand that it's going to piss you off, and that's not right how they really feel, but that's what they're saying. They're just
Yeah,
saying those
yeah.
things, right?
Straight up.
Well, their emotional state is causing them to be illogical and to make decisions that are not rational. And that is most people. We all have a certain level of emotional intelligence that we use, but the most mature people are able to process their emotions at the highest level and put themselves in position to make decisions that are not that don't hurt them or the process or other people involved.
Yeah,
And what you just explained is a perfect example of that. You know, the thought process of most people is, "Ha, we get this person mad. This is what they're gonna do," because that's how most people think. But
yeah, straight up.
when you've been through things and when you've learned how to deal with situations the way that you're dealing with them, those things don't bother you. They bother you as far as like that's messed up that happened, but they don't bother you to the point to where now you all riled up, your blood pressure high, you stressed out. Like, what am I gonna do? And that doesn't mean that everybody that has a high level of emotional intelligence don't go through getting super emotional to the point to where they're about to make a bad decision. What it means is that those people are able to handle the situations a lot better because of the things that they've been through, and it's a skill. No, don't get me wrong, it is not a skill. Like everything that you just explained how you worked through and honed a skill. You went from when you talked about when we was younger, when just was emotional and you was like just at it emotionally, emotionally relentless. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? You
straight
like
up.
going at the cops or whatever, and we like, man, chill out. And now you at a place where you know something like that would happen, or you just get emotional and you process it differently. That is not an accident. The fact that you're aware of that is why it's not an accident. So yeah, I mean, emotional intelligence is a it's definitely a high indicator of how mature you are as a person.
Yeah, I had a homeboy that he was actually married to this white girl or whatever. Me and my other homie was discussing it. But anyway, my homie was married to this white girl, and like at the end of their relationship, they had kids and everything. You know what I'm saying? They'd been together for several years, and when they was at the end of their relationship, and they was having like this big argument and stuff like that. She called him the N word or whatever, and so of course, that like sucked the soul out of him or whatever. And me and my other homie was having this discussion, and he felt the same way that our other homie felt, as far as like, wow, she been a racist this whole time. And I was explaining to him, I don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? That she was very emotional, and when we get emotional like that, you're willing to say anything to try. If you're trying to hurt the other person, there's no holds barred. You're not okay. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
talk about your dead grandmother. You know what I'm saying? There's no barriers. There's no construct when I'm trying to hurt your feelings
yeah,
or whatever. So she knew that that was the most, you know what I'm saying, grotesque thing that she could say to piss him off, and she said it. You know what I mean? She has black kids, so you think she walking around, you know, calling them, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? The N word and stuff like that, like all day. No, that's not what she doing. Do you think that she didn't love you during those periods of times when y'all was in love doing loving things or whatnot? Absolutely. Of course he was in love and infatuated, all of the other stuff that comes along with it or whatever. But I'm angry right now. I haven't matured. I'm in an emotional state. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still going through that,
yeah,
maturation or whatever. So I'm gonna say whatever it takes to get you to that level, to bring you to my level. Basically, is what you're doing, is trying to get a person on your level. So um, those are just things that, as people, like you say, I like that terminology you use, emotional intelligence, man. I'm gonna have to put that in the arsenal now.
yeah, yeah. I copyrighted it, so before you get to using it.
Well,
Nah.
no,
Now,
that's
the
real
other
good.
thing I want to touch on as far as like, maturation as far as myself, and a lot of our shows are not going to be us challenging other people to do things, but I do challenge you to like look within yourself and actually recognize how you matured as a person. I don't think we as people self-reflect enough to see how we are different. People
Straight
say it
up.
all the time. I've grown. How have you grown?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know you've grown? Like, what actual self-reflection activities have you done to see where you were when you were 20 and where you were when you're 30 or 20 or 35 or whatever it is. Self-reflection is probably the greatest tool that you can use to become a better person, because if you don't self-reflect on what you've done in the past, it's hard to grow and be a better person, for your future. So, one of the things that has really like helped me be at peace with myself right now and feel like that everything I do has value is this idea of the value and time over money.
Mm,
Heard this podcast.
absolutely.
The question was asked: if you had $86,400 a day, would you spend it? And the answer to most people in this world is going to be yeah, because if you don't get to keep the money, and you got to spend it every day, what's the point of not spending it all? Well, you have 86,400 seconds in a day. And the difference between time and money is you can always recoup the money, but you can't recoup time. So 86,400 seconds in a day, how are you spending that time? When we look at how much time we have in a day, and if you actually do a time management activity to see what you're doing throughout the day and how you are using your time, most of us would feel like we are completely wasting our lives.
Straight up.
Completely wasting our lives. And that goes into your maturity as well. When you're younger, you probably didn't think about what you did as much, how long it took, how often you were doing it. You just lived. As you get older, those things, they become more important, especially when you become a senior citizen, because, life is at the very end and you're thinking about time. That's why a lot of people talk about bucket lists and going to traveling and stuff. But if you start to think about those things now, you can have a very fulfilling life and you won't feel like you wasted certain times of your life. Like all the time you hear people when they're older say, "Oh, I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that." Well, for those people that are listening now that are not older, you can do whatever it is you're trying to get done. You have enough time to get anything that you want to get done. Everything is about prioritizing and knowing, how long it's gonna take you to get somewhere. And for those people that say stuff like, you know, I can die. I mean, I can sleep when I die. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life, because you have to have rest to be able to do the things that you want. So rest
Yeah.
is a part of the time that you need to value. Like if you need to sleep for 6 hours, then because you can do that, fine. But if you an 8 hour person, do it. You knew that. You do that. The thing is when you're wasting time and you're being lazy. When you're in the bed for 12 hours, that's not productive. Like that's a personal thing. So, don't get all caught up in what other people time is, value of time is. It's about your value of time. But at the
Straight up.
same time, that's your maturation process. Like, you got to value everything that you do in life. You need to feel like it's taking you to another level in life. So when you get to the end of life, you can look back and feel like you didn't waste none of it.
Yep. Well, in reference to what you were saying, talking about I mean not time management, but self management and change. I always tell my kids that being self conscious is one of the greatest skills that you will ever attain in your life.
Yeah.
A lot of people just not self conscious, bro.
Yeah, you're right. You're
I mean,
absolutely
that's the
right.
only possible way that you can change your behavior on any level is being self-conscious and being self-aware that there is an issue or there is something that needs to be changed or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because people can tell you all day. If you don't see it, then you're just not gonna change, and of course, you
Bro,
won't grow as a person.
you helped me grow in that aspect. Cause I remember like at one point in time, like we
I already
always
know
be
what you're gonna
trying
say.
to we always be trying to pick somewhere to go eat or go hang out at and stuff like that.
I
And you
already know
used to
what you're gonna say.
hey bro, and anyway, y'all I was more vocal, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, on the things that I wanted to do. And you thought that I was being not selfish, not self-absorbed. I wasn't being what's the other word or whatever? We'll just say selfish because I can't think. Inconsiderate. I was being inconsiderate of what y'all things that y'all wanted to do and stuff like that or whatever. In my defense, I think I was just being more vocal or whatever. But it helped me realize that I could have possibly been being inconsiderate to what everybody else, wanted to do. And I'm being selfish and stuff like that or whatever. So so even back then we was kids. I was
Yeah.
self-conscious then, you know what I'm saying? You know. that's why I always wish I had, like, my pops wasn't in prison, or I had, a dad around and stuff like that, because really all you had to do was tell me. I'm a studier, a researcher, a philosopher, all this. I've been like that. I've been analytical or whatever. But if I didn't have that guidance and stuff like that, or what I was just doing whatever everybody else was doing
Yeah.
or whatnot. So you helped me realize that I could have been being inconsiderate at that point in time, and that helped me grow like tremendously. Like, you don't even understand or whatever. So
Yeah, well,
I'm
I'm
not
glad.
thanking you.
No, forget that.
I
I
ain't
done
thanking
already
you.
took it. I done already took it as thanks. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but I mean, and that in itself is a maturation. You know what I'm saying? Like when we talked about earlier, Trey recognizing that within himself that I'm not, my heart not in it, and these boys grinding, and I'm not putting in the same level of work. I need to just go ahead and let them do their thing. I don't want to hold them back. You know, that's self conscious too.
Straight up.
And so I
Straight up.
mean I commend that boy Trey. Ain't no ill will, ain't no love lost. We still brothers like we always been. Is in when he ready to get back on it, we got a third space for him.
I just
You
I
know,
just want to know when he gonna be self conscious enough to realize he ain't as good as me. You know what I'm saying? I guess, sibling
that's a
rivalry.
conversation for another day.
One
When he
one
come
day
back,
he'll get it.
I'm definitely bringing it up. So be ready to
Straight up.
defend yours. You know what I'm saying? In this topic of maturation, we wanna keep it going, but we wanna bring it to a different level. Maturation of the rap game, man. Maturation of music in general. You know, when I brought this up to you, I was thinking about a conversation that I had several years ago in reference to where we are with rap and how and where we would be if two of the greatest rappers that ever lived in most people's eyes never died, and that was Pac and Biggie.
Man, I don't know if we're gonna have time to because that might be a big conversation or whatever.
It could be a big conversation. You know what I'm saying? I think we should rethink this. Let's just talk about maturation of music, and we can
Yeah.
just kind of touch on that, and we can talk about this particular topic another time. Because you're right,
All right.
that's a show all in itself. Because
Straight
like
up. Exactly.
my theories on how things would be right now, and I know you said you don't agree, but that's gonna be
Hey,
an
I want you to break it down though. Like, I
Okay,
want you
you're
to,
right. Cause
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
need time. Cause I mean, I got some
yeah.
things that I can break down right now, but to really make it like my point be heard, we probably need a whole show. So yeah, but just about maturation of music, man. Let's think about what music is right now. Like we went from back in the '60s where it was like soulful and love and it was super positive, and then we even rap it was love. When rap hip hop first started back in '70s. 79, I think the first documented on rap was the Sugar Hill Gang, a hop, a hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So like it was all love, bro. And then we come with NWA and we come with a little gangster rap, and and of course I'm not blaming nobody, but it changed. It changed the rap game. It changed music. Then you think about R&B. We went from like soulful love to like freak nasty love, with Jodeci, what I'm saying? Jodeci freaking you, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like freak you in the morning, freak you at night, and we
Straight
just
up.
fast forward to now. It's like no holds bars. I
Oh,
mean,
it's
excuse my
raunchy
language,
now.
but exactly like we don't ain't no mystery to the R&B. It's straight up like this what I want to do. I mean, you got women talking about eat the booty like groceries. I
You
mean,
know what I'm saying? Yeah.
so
It went from fully clothed to lingerie to bam. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. It's
That
like, ain't no romanticize. It's like, like you think about when you about to have sex or whatever. That idea of a woman being sexy, fully clothed, and then going from being fully clothed to being in her lingerie. It's like she's slowly peeling off her layers to let you see her fullness, and that's exciting. Now it's just straight, let's get on Tinder and I'm butt naked from the picture. You don't get to see nothing. You
yeah.
straight seeing naked, seeing me naked. You know what I'm saying?
Straight
So
up.
that's how the music game is. It's just no suspense, no imagination, and I mean, you still got artists sprinkled in that's doing it. They like holding to their craft. They individuals, and you can feel who they are as people within their music. But a lot of these artists, and that's why I'm throwing R&B and rap in there, is they just it's so surface, man. It ain't like you don't feel nothing from it. But
Well, as far as hip hop goes or whatever, true enough, you know what I'm saying? I think it has kind of digressed in its maturation or whatever, but R&B though, hey bro, when you listen to like okay, like back in the day I used to gauge classics by how many times do I gotta press skip on this record? You know
hmm
what I'm saying? Like Pac got classics. He got a whole trilogy that I don't have to skip a song.
yeah,
Kanye got classics. I ain't got to skip a song. Jay Z got a couple of classics. I don't got to skip a song. I can just listen to the record all the way through. Even some of our most favorite artists at different time periods, it's certain songs that I really don't just rock with. You know what I'm saying? Like I listen to their albums jamming overall, but it may be only jamming 70, 80%, which is still a good album, but I wouldn't necessarily consider it one of the greatest or a classic because you got these other albums, these bodies of work that's just 100% solid. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
One thing about these kids today or whatever that's making music, hey, bro, they whole album be solid, be dynamically just perfect or whatever. You know, like you could pick any song and listen to that song, and that song gonna be jamming. Now it may not be as jamming as maybe like the singles or maybe one of your favorite songs, but there are no bad songs, like zero. Like Kiana Lede, Seven Streeter, the chick Kalani, you know what I'm saying? Drake, Tory Lanez. Man, these people got whole bodies of work. Justin Bieber got whole bodies of work that's just I'm talking about full of fire song after fire song or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think we looking at it the same. So as the music industry has progressed and matured, I think our ears have matured. Not to say that it's good or bad, because I don't know what to call it or whatever, but it's like we in a microwave mentality these days or whatever. Like how come like Justin Bieber had an album called I think it was like Promise or Love Letter, something like that. Hey, bro, that whole album it's a classic album. Seventh Streeter second album, that whole album is classic, bro. Kiana
yeah.
Lede, she probably got the best album of all, you know what I'm saying? Out of the people that I just named or whatever her album she just did. And it's a classic album, but we not looking at it the same. We're not looking at it like we looked at Nas on Illmatic and Pac,
Yeah,
Me Against the World and stuff like that. So something has changed about the way we process as well.
you're right, and I agree with that. And I think as because we get older, our we look at we hear things differently, we see things differently. It does change because when we was young, older people would say the stuff we listen to is trash and garbage, and now we older
Man, forget
and
them.
a lot, and now we older and we say a lot of stuff the young people listen to is like what the hell is that? I will say this though, like a lot of those names you mentioned, those artists they are artists. Like when I say when I make the statement like that's an artist, I put emphasis on that's an artist, even though everybody that does it is an artist. What I mean is this person, like when I think about an artist, I think about somebody who's really into the craft of what they do. And those people are really into the craft of what they do. The music industry is watered down now more than it ever was because there's so many people that's in it, because it's so easy to get access
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be
straight
able to
up.
make music and push your stuff out. You can market yourself. you know a lot of the people
It's
who
oversaturated.
exactly a lot of people who are um who get some type of fame is because of a niche that they have. You don't have the overwhelming majority of artists are not people or like the ones you just named who are like into their craft. Like you can feel their music, their music is riddled with who they are as an individual, and that's the rarity of when I talk about how it used to be to how it is now. And maybe that's how it would have been then if it would have been so easy to get into music, but it wasn't easy to get into music. In the past, it was the hardest time was when back in the 60s. And even when we was growing up, it was still hard. You explained in one of our shows that what you went through as an artist to try to get into the music game, and how difficult it was simply because of the not being able to control your how you pushed your music and having to depend on the radio station. Well, if that was like if the times were then like they are now, then maybe there would be the same process. So a lot has changed. It can't all just be put on the actual people because like you said, we see things differently now. But and just in general, I feel like what's easy to find is hard to listen to. What's easy to find is hard to listen to. It's like you gotta look for good artists. Like, you
Yeah,
know, just the some those names that you just mentioned, like those names are not the top names that you would hear from the average person if you say, "Hey, who's your favorite R&B artist?" Like it wouldn't be those names, even though outside of Drake, you
yeah,
know, Drake, but the other names, Seventh Streeter, Lede, Keanu Lede, like people wouldn't be the top artists that people would bring out, even though they are some of the top artists when it comes to producing music.
yeah, yeah. That's true. Very true, or whatever. But anyway, man, moving forward, pick up this conversation
Yeah,
another time since we running out of time or
yeah,
whatever. But I guess we're gonna talk about what I got on tour today, man. I got these red, black, and white 270s, man. Uh
oh,
I like the 270s. Like I think besides the 9.7s, man, because I'm a 9.7 head. When these 270s came out and they started coming out with all these different colorways, bro, I had to cop me a few, bro. I love the 270s now. It's probably like one of my favorite Air Max. So the 9.7s and the 270s are definitely my favorite Air Max or whatever. I got a few more pair as well. But they came out with like about 30 different colorways, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
And man, they very comfortable. You know what I'm saying? They cool to walk around in. I'd have been to like Universal, you know what I'm saying, and Disney World and stuff like that in the 270s. And bro, your feet feel good all day, man. You know what I'm saying? I like it, and they look good.
yeah. I'm with you on them 270s. I like them. I fell in love with the 720s. I'm a you know, be I'm presenting those a little later. I mean, another show. But I
I
like the
like them
720s.
I like the 720s.
Yeah, I like them 270s too. Yeah, them nice. They fire. But, that's all we got on tap for today, huh, D. Will?
Yeah, man, that's pretty much all we got on tap. I kind of breezed through Monica McKent though, man. I wanted to say, man, shout out to Monica, RIP, to Monica. Shout out to Mary and her mom. I forgot their mama name, but she used to work at Albertsons or whatever, man. But yeah, Monica, man, that's a homie from a long time ago. We went to like Mary Golf and we grew up together too. You know what I'm saying? So, I love you. We're gonna miss you. You know what I'm saying? You was a solid person or whatever.
Yeah, shout out to Monica. I remember the first time I saw Monica, I was in sixth grade. I was like, good Lord. Like, straight beautiful. Them
Yeah,
eyes. That's a first. I remember that like it was yesterday. I was like, who is that? You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Well, yeah, we didn't know each other too well. We went to school a little bit. We knew each other was, but shout out to Monica as well. R.I.P. Um,
It's
and
crazy getting older, man.
I know it is. Last thing I want to say is if you could, click subscribe or follow us, please do so. We gonna be giving you good content every week, and we want you to like get first access. So as soon as we put out a podcast, you're gonna get that information, sent to you, letting you know we got a new episode out. So go
We
ahead
gotta
and click and
start.
subscribe.
Yeah, we gotta start giving them for the podcast the email address.
Oh, definitely, definitely. If if you want to email us, we'll throw it up right now. It's audio. I mean, not audio. I'm lying. Acoustic Chef Podcast at gmail.com. Hit us with topics that you want to hear. Hit us with debates that you want to go back and forth with. You know what I'm saying? And if you somebody who, really passionate about what you believe, we can throw you on the show and we can go at it with you. You know what I'm talking about? So, yeah. Acoustic Chef Podcast, straight like that, 3 words, Acoustic Chef Podcast at gmail.com.
And don't ask us how to spell acoustic, man. You should know this. If not, just go to Google and it'll tell you how to spell acoustic.
That's right. If we don't respond to your email, that means you sent it to the
You got a
wrong
mail a
place. You
demon.
spelled it wrong. Exactly. All right, this Acoustic Chef Podcast. We out.
Y'all.